Welcome back, growers. It is Tuesday, June 10th, and we're here to learn as we grow. Today's conversation is about award-winning gardens, top trends, and floral highlights at the 2025 Chelsea Flower Show. From wild woodland retreats to futuristic floral marvels, Chelsea Flower Show 2025 was a breathtaking blend of tradition and innovation. Whether you're a garden dreamer or a dirt under the nails grower, this year's show planted seeds of inspiration for everyone. Let's dig into the gardens, trends, and unforgettable moments that stole the show. Hey, thanks for watching the replay. Let me know in the comments if you could walk through one of the Chelsea Flower Show gardens in real life. Which one would it be and why? We're going to walk through some of them here tonight. I can't showcase all of them, but there are links in the description to articles to read what went on there. And tonight's bonus at the end of the show, I'm going to talk about 5 climate resilient crops that impressed during the show. So, what is the Chelsea Flower Show? I have this to show while I talk about it. Now, they are getting ready for next year's show already, of course. So, here's what would be the website that you find if you're interested in going there. It takes 8,000 people to set this up, 400 horticultural exhibits, 31 gardens, and 20 acres. The site itself covers a huge 20 acres across which 400 horticultural exhibits will appear, from show gardens to floristry, scientific zones, and trade stands. So in this website, it does show little blips like find out more about the star plants of the show, steal ideas from the designers for your own gardens, the plant of the year, the editor's pick for the pavilion. We're going to talk about the pavilion a little bit here towards the end. There's a whole blip about the royalty that showed up. So let's keep talking. The cycle of planning for this show lasts 15 months. It takes 25 days to build the show from bare grass to the finished article, and then 11 days to break down the whole thing. 8,000 people work together to put this show together, and thousands of people go to enjoy it. You do have to buy a ticket. It takes 24 judges across 3 panels, 20 hours to judge all of the show gardens. And it is hosted by the Royal Horticultural Society, RHS. It takes place every May in the grounds of the Royal Hospital Chelsea in London. That's why it's called the Chelsea Flower Show. It is considered the world's most prestigious flower show, showcasing cutting-edge garden design, horticultural innovation, and plant artistry. It's a place where designers, growers, and garden lovers come together to celebrate nature. Now, here's the awe factor. Chelsea Flower Show has been running for 111 years. It was first held in 1913 and has been held every year since, except for gaps during 2 world wars and 2020. Now, was there a theme this year? If we were to say if there was a dominant trend, it'd be along the lines of sustainability, your mental wellness, biodiversity, and rewilding ourselves, right? Technology meets nature is going to be talked about. There's AI garden innovation and smart irrigation systems, forest and wellness gardens, forest bath inspired designs with multi-stem trees, and dappled light emphasized mental health. There's also showcases for rocks and natural materials, stone seating, accent rocks, gravel paths, replacing porcelain paving. There's going to be water innovation shown tonight. Rills, rain chains, and even a seagrass garden with oysters for marine conservation messaging. Climate resilient planting, the use of drought and heat resistant plants across gardens. So let's stop talking about it and let's look at it, right? Okay, Chelsea Rocks is this first garden that you see on the screen. Some were part of the natural looking landscapes, but most were very much garden rocks used as seating, tables, pools, bird baths, and dotted about as what can only be called accent rocks. Some were real, some were fake, but looked so real you never would have guessed unless you asked. They have a red cross in this garden for humanity. Let's see. Hexagonal planters arranged vertically with Giant's Causeway precision. The garden, which showcased alpines, won a gold medal, also has a scree and crevice planting. So, what we're going to do as we walk through these is take it in, see what you can see, get inspired. Maybe you recognize plants, look at the shapes, the textures, see if any of it speaks to you. Trees That Talk is the next garden that we're going to showcase. A strong urban forest theme ran through many gardens, both large and small. Designers are still in love with the multi-stem form. One tree that seemed to be a particular favorite was the river birch, the attractive peeling bark aspect, right? The Glass House Garden won gold. That's what's wrote underneath this photo. I wanted to pay attention to colors too. It's fun to see what colors go well together in a space. Of course, you have your layers of texture and height. Here's another garden. Make Mine a Burgundy. Dark red accent shades gave richness and depth to border planting. Kazuki Ishar's Cha no Niwa won both gold and best in show. Interesting. I can't believe they set all this stuff up just to take it down. Like, what? Nigel Dunnett's Hospital Field Arts Garden was awarded a silver gilt medal. Interesting shapes here going on, right? Sea Wilding. Sea Wilding by Ryan featured the seagrass and live oysters, which is this one. Look at that. Do you think of having seagrass and live oysters as part of your garden display? Oh my goodness. It's so good seeing you all here live with us. We're just going to keep walking through the tour, but I see you all chit-chatting. If I find something great. Oh, bow tie. I see your comment there. I'll put it on screen. Hello, Adam. Welcome to the show. Hello, everyone. I wonder if I can get in trouble tonight. Well, why would you want to get in trouble during our lovely conversations here? So, maybe you guys were with me in the beginning of my live streaming journey. We talked about AI in the gardens, anticipating this show, the Chelsea Flower Show. So, if you haven't watched that live stream, please understand it was the beginning of my journey, first of all. Second of all, it's in the description. Catch it on the replay. We dove into this next garden because it was a little, why are we doing it this way? The whole intelligent garden. I was so excited to see this showcased at the show. So let's see where the pictures start. We're going to do pictures. We're going to look at a video and we're going to talk about it. Would you want AI powered gardens using sensors to monitor soil, tree health, and air quality, plus sustainable structures like mycelium walls? Let's find out. The Intelligent Garden. Groundbreaking of the garden show. The sensors track tree health, growth, water levels, soil condition, and weather patterns, and analyze the data to spot trends and provide cultivation advice to the grower. The garden also features a building designed in collaboration with furniture maker Sebastian, crafted in wood and mycelium, a cutting edge and highly sustainable building material. By inoculating wood chip with fungal spores, the pavilion has louvered panels that frame glimpses of the garden beyond. So if you want to see that, that's what this is. This what they built that out of. Oh, look, they even displayed mushrooms in the shelving. You see that? So yeah, just talking about different building materials was part of the display for the AI garden. And then here's another picture. They used weather resilient planting, edible shrubs like the Chinese date, juba, Sichuan pepper, Chinese cedar was some of the things listed. It has 21 trees and large shrubs framing the space. Things that are resilient to weather extremes was also part of the AI display. They really stuck with yellow and deep purple and shocking pink with the biodiverse layers of natural woodland. So, again, think about what this is. In any of the gardens we look at, they set this up for a show, for people like us to walk through, and then they take it all down. And then they do it over. It's been going on for over 100 years, you guys. It's just, wow, you know? So we can go walk through the AI garden together here. If you can't hear it, shout it out in the chat.
Artificial intelligence is often negatively perceived for stealing jobs or using vast amounts of energy, but if it can be used to invite connection with nature and gather data to ultimately help protect, preserve and support the ecosystems that are so vital to our survival on this planet, then it can be used as a force for good.
I'm in the intelligent garden at the Chelsea Flower Show, and each of the trees around me is connected to a sensor that can measure growth patterns, whether it's hydrated, how much sun it's getting, all of those factors that can influence its growth. That information can then be fed into an artificial intelligence, a small language model, that allows the public to then talk to the tree and ask it how it's doing.
When we first announced this garden, a lot of people were worried that, by bringing AI and sensors and monitors into a garden, that could, in some way remove a sense of nature connection. But what we wanted to do with this space is create an immersive, living, breathing garden that very much, first and foremost, is a garden. But there are these subtle integrations of technology, this way that you can interact with it using technology that I personally think can encourage nature connection. If you can find out more about how the trees are faring, you can understand.
That was a concern we talked about. What he's saying, having the AI technology in the garden, does it make this gap in the connection of the gardener and the garden? That was one of our concerns when we talked about this on our previous live stream.
And gather data over a long term, and really use that data for helping to specify the right trees, the right plants for the right place, helping to understand how climate change is affecting the amazing trees we have in our urban landscapes. Then I think there is a value in that. These are the dashboard screens that show data being collected in the garden, and you can see tree growth, humidity, temperature and lean angle. So at the moment the tree has low growth, high humidity, temperature's fine and lean is fine, so it's not leaning. And here you have some actions that you might want to think about. Then it's got a bit of information about the tree as well. But the interactive aspect, if you scan this QR code, you can log in and then you can actually have a conversation with each tree. So using using the power of AI, you can, I suppose you're kind of communicating with that data. The AI.
Did you hear that? To have a conversation with each tree. What do you think?
Has been trained to be an expert on each tree, and it has live data coming in. So if the data coming in, the information coming in is different from what the AI knows the tree would like, then it creates these alerts and suggests that you might want to take some action or think about what you might need to do in order to make that tree happier. Where AI can really bring something quite new and quite interesting is in that pattern recognition. So monitoring long-term data, spotting patterns, predicting trends. Say if, for example, you were monitoring a tree, there was an outbreak of some kind of disease, you can see how the tree responded before and after, and maybe use AI to predict whether that's going to happen again in the future, and maybe take preventative action. The other side of it is the language-based dialogue. So being able to talk to data, essentially, instead of looking at a spreadsheet or a graph, you can talk to the data and it can respond using the power of AI. So I think it brings a whole new way to interact with information that I think is really exciting.
I really love the idea of incorporating artificial intelligence into a garden. I think these sensors can really help us to understand all of the factors that influence a plant's life, and it can build a kind of personal connection to those trees that we're sensing. There have been some really good studies showing that even just half an hour's walk a day in a park can help to reduce some of the negative thinking and rumination that lies behind illnesses like depression. So if you feel that you have a personal connection to those plants around you and that you can interact with them, it might just help us to get a little bit more out of those health benefits of spending time in a natural environment, even if you live in the middle of a city.
Tree chat, says Jay. A tree mend us idea. Bowtie says to Mother Earth, I do too. I go out without headsets or electronics every time I can. And a lot of us, says Gandalf to Mother Earth, talk to plants. How many of you are interested in this data-driven thing you stick to your tree? I mean, it's supposed to be able to send you an alert if there's bad weather coming, so you can prepare the space for it. It was great to actually see it set up, because back when we talked about this in that previous live stream, it's just a bunch of what ifs, When will it stop? I mean, at what point will where does this go next? Okay. I'm fascinated by it. We also have the Hospital Field Arts Garden. Let's go find that. It's loading. Hold on. There you are. We're going to talk about that. Oh, I have a visitor. So just look at this garden. Okay, the Hospital Fields Art Garden, a corrugated iron bothy stands at the back of the garden. Let's see if it tells me. Also looks to the future for its plant choices, focusing on resilient and drought-tolerant coastal planting with an abstract design centered around large dune-like sculptures made from timber fins. The planting rises and falls in an undulating landscape of sand with silver-leafed and glacious foliage plants such as Cramb martima. Let's look at some more pictures here. up close. Do you recognize any of these? I do not. Tough grasses, bright pink sea thrift, vivid yellow bulbine frutescens, purple blue salvias established in sand and gravel. The plants are given space to stretch out and breathe, showcasing the shape and form of each specimen. It's interesting, the finny things, right? A corrugated iron bothy stands at the back of the garden with hidden rainwater harvesting systems that run off the roof to accumulate in a small dune pool, using every drop of rain that falls from the building. Again, they just set this up for the show to inspire people to help, give them innovating idea. I think I have to go help a child. The child says they don't need help. Okay, the glass house garden is next. Let's go inside. I think I recognize those flowers. Glasshouse Garden is a real crowd pleaser with rich and colorful planting palette and roses galore. A garden you can imagine around your own home, designed for the Glasshouse Enterprise, which offers horticultural training in women's prisons. The garden is an immersive and sensory space designed with health and well-being in mind. So here is some close-ups of the photos of the flowers. See if you recognize any of them. There is an elliptical pavilion standing in one end with doors that pivot open all around to give different views out. At the back is a rocky pool, the source of a bubbling stream that channels into a curving rill. Into a tranquil pool under a leafy canopy of trees, including resilient river birch and drought tolerant some kind of Japanese Zelkova plant. This is another close up. And then I think we're going to see the pavilion here. An elliptical pavilion stands at one end surrounded by strong colored, oh my goodness, We have more gardens to look at. So, what is this next one called? The Hospice UK Garden of Compassion is next. Let me pull it up for you. Okay, let's see. It's remarkable for the fact that Tom grew many of the plants himself from seed. The garden is inspired by the arid landscape of Majorca and the architecture of the olive houses, a pair of off-grid, eco-conscious guest houses in the Tramuntana Mountains. So that's going to have a lot of different plants than we're used to seeing. The garden has an interesting bench there. It is constructed around a series of walled rooms that are designed to provide different areas of refuge for hospice patients and families. The walls made from reclaimed timber, pigmented clay, and rugged stone. The planting is soft and painterly. And Mediterranean in feel, with an emphasis on plants that can thrive amid unpredictable weather patterns and rising temperatures. So here's a few of the plants. This is a crimson poppy. Bursts of strong, uplifting color come from the beautiful crimson poppy. Look at that. Beautiful. Very cool message, too. We have a few more gardens. Freedom to Flourish Garden is going to be next. This is delightful. Let's see. The message of this garden is to slow down and connect with nature from our well-being, and you can feel your heartbeat slow when you wander around the harmonious space. So let's get closer inside of it. Planted entirely in gravel, the scheme combines native flowers with herbaceous perennials connected to the designer's home in Norfolk. The beautiful Dunwich rose with its pollinator-friendly single white flowers is a key plant, while the beech aster and sea kale pay tribute to the salt marshes and dunes of Norfolk. Here's a close-up. Oh, what was that plant? The blue one. Planting in Mediterranean feel is the words under it. Let's see. Adonis annua, intense blue, lupinus pilosus. Yeah. Yep. Drifts of foxtail barley shimmering in between is the one that Bowtie was talking about. Formal designs, yeah. I have 2 poppies blooming right now that I saw today at the garden when I was there. I think this next picture is let's see here. Freedom to Flourish. Garden of the Future. Yeah. I think that's the next one. There's so many gardens, you guys. Okay. Garden of the Future by Matthew Butler and Josh Parker, sponsored by the Gates Foundation. Climate resilient crops like millet, chickpeas, cowpeas, solar irrigation, and rainwater harvesting. Okay. Let's go inside. What do we see here? This one I'm not going to talk about too much right now because we're going to talk about it later too. Look at that baskety thing for the trellis. Interesting. Do you recognize what the plant is? We'll talk about it later. Or maybe next. I'm not sure. I gotta look at the order of things here. Let's see. I think that picture's in the show. Okay, we did those ones. Garden of the Future. Okay, let's show the actual garden. And then we'll talk about it. In the face of climate change, growers worldwide face a future with higher temperatures, periods of drought, and more extreme weather. So this comes into the bonus section of 5 climate resilient crops that impressed during the show. Let's see what we can find. They're showcasing how existing solutions and innovations currently being used by smallholder farms in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia may become more commonplace globally through their show Garden Set in Near Future, right? Ornamentals and edible plants, multiple uses, no-dig garden beds, edible hedge for foraging, solar-powered pumps, rainwater harvesting and storage systems. So the crops, first one was millet. Sorghum bicolor is a tall grass grown for grain and has been cultivated for thousands of years. It's a superfood packed with protein, fiber, iron, zinc, and calcium that thrives in hot climates. Millet is a heat-loving alternative to other grains, like your wheat, your barley, or your oats. Different varieties can grow 2 to 5 feet tall. Pearl millet and brown top millet are popular types grown globally for a nutritious grain. It's planted in late spring once the temperatures warm to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and the crop is harvested in late fall once the seed heads dry. It needs to be dried and properly stored in a cool and dry place to prevent fungi or spoilage. Here is the second crop, the sweet potato. It is increasingly popular, even fashionable. There's different varieties and shades of white, yellow, purple, and orange. They have drought-resistant varieties of sweet potatoes. There's 6.8 million households in Africa and South Asia that eat the sweet potato. Bio-fortified with vitamin A and able to withstand hotter, drier climates. Soil temperatures 65 degrees when they are planted. It's a long growing season crop. 12 to 16 weeks to develop. Harvest could be early September to October. This is what we saw earlier, and if you guessed it, it's chickpeas. Who wants to grow chickpeas? Staple food for smallholder families, also known as a garbanzo bean. Only eat if your body allows you to. If you have a food sensitivity to these things, obviously that shouldn't be on your list. They are very water efficient, not requiring much water during the season, and the peas themselves are packed with nutrients and vitamins. The chickpeas love sunshine and well-draining soil, plus they only grow to 18 inches tall, and they can be grown without the need for a vegetable garden trellis or support, unlike many other peas. You sow them directly in the spring, and they take 100 days. Oofda. I'm not sure what this plant is, but we have 2 more crops and I don't have pictures for both. So, pigeon pea was the next one. It's a not well recognized crop, but it's popular in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Grain legume crop. Let's see. Anybody grow this? High tolerance for heat. Good for zones 9 and above. And they don't need a whole lot of watering. And then the last one was cowpeas. And again, I don't know what this picture is. I think it's the cowpeas. Okay, yeah, I think the black-eyed peas is the picture you're seeing. Are confusingly beans rather than peas. The beans provide nourishment for feed and livestock. Let's see. Hotter zones. You need to have 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, bow tie, that's hilarious. In the Garden of the Future, your plants don't just grow, they text you when they're thirsty. I mean, that's what they're talking about. Yeah, the baskety thing. Is it a cloak? or a trellis. I don't know. I don't know what that is. So we did all those pictures. Yes, 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 yes. Um, you grew lupins this year, Bowtie? You're harvesting seeds this afternoon. Oh. Yeah, the AI garden stuff. I mean, that's why we did a whole show about it, because... Hello, Andrew. Bowtie says, I think I discovered cowpeas in my garden today. You've never planted them before. Where on earth did they come from? Because I don't think they're in a bird seed mix. It's that pigeon pea or bean. The cowpeas are everywhere. Happy birthday to your son, Andrew. Wow, that's a big 16, yeah. Cloche. Did I say the word wrong? I'm sorry. Gandalf says the snap peas I planted a week ago are an inch tall already. Cool. The Urban Gardener. Hello, everyone. Hello, Shawnee. Listening while I work. So we've walked through a lot of the gardens already. Now, I'm not going to be able to show you all every single garden that they showcased there. I do want to remind you, if you like what you're learning, tap the like button. Don't miss a grow. Subscribe. If you know a gardener who'd love this, share the stream. We just went over our bonus round of 5 climate resilient crops that impressed during the show. So what does all this mean for your garden? Has anyone been inspired to grow something different or set something up in a manner that they weren't thinking? Now, there's also this section of the show called the Great Pavilion, nicknamed the Floral Cathedral. It's housed over 80 exhibitors and floral artists from around the world, celebrating the power, precision, and beauty of plants in full bloom. So that in itself is an entire conversation. What was in the Great Pavilion this year? There is, let's see. I have some photos. Do you guys want to look inside the Great Pavilion to see what was on display? Let me know in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just move on. Outback Tasmania. That means you can build a fantastic garden. If you don't like it, you can just take it down. Klaus. Oh, here we go. That's how you say it? Yeah, I was saying it wrong then. Klaus. Yes, look inside. I've picked a few displays that I want to showcase for what was in that pavilion. The full, nope, that's, okay, hold on, jumped. Jay, the full Chelsea show would be nice for the 99% of the world who can't be there. Yeah. Maybe I can do an episode too. Could keep going, right? Diva says, nope, garden events like this, put up, take down, not. Adam says cowpeas are black-eyed, pink-eyed peas. They're actually a bean. Some of my favorites. I did plant cowpeas this year with my tomatoes. So you have to stick around for the monthly garden tour to see how that's growing. Let's go inside the pavilion, the Great Pavilion, and see what was being displayed. This first one cracks me up because it's called Dinosaur Plants. Hello, look at that. Carnivorous plants brought Jurassic World to the Chelsea Flower Show. When you walk through the display, you can hear roaring of the dinosaurs. Here, I can actually do this for you guys while I read. Look at that. The picture is wide open on those plants. Pretty cool, huh? This one is called Orchids in the Wild. Ambitious collaboration. They are very important plants because they are said to be like the canary in the coal mine in ecological terms. They have a very specific way of reproducing. So if anything threatens that system, they are wiped out. The orchids is what we're talking about. I like that it's had that reference, canary in the coal mine. Bowtie says, Great Pavilion, they say it's the heart of Chelsea, but really it's the chlorophyll soul. Mother Earth Garden Club, a solar panel. Bowtie says, that is mind-blowing. Bowtie says, this year's pavilion, less of a flower show, more of a full-blown horticultural mic drop. Jay says, I already try to incorporate art and craft into my community garden and encourages browsing by passers-by and also selfies. That is wonderful, Jay. Bowtie says, the Great Pavilion where the air smells like hope and also 9,000 varieties of clematis. Okay, I can't show everything. Let me pick and choose here. There is a link in the description if you guys want to go through this in your own time. Some of the stuff. This one has a funny name. Well, maybe we'll do all 6 of these or something. Share this tab. Ahoy Barbados Landship is this one. The people that designed this one picked up their 22nd gold medal with this exhibit. They have 22 gold medals. It features a centerpiece ship and chronicles the journey from Africa to Barbados, including the maypole dance, which is part of the landship tradition. The plants of the display are in the colors associated with the landship: anthuriums, heliconias, sansevieras, yuccas for foliage. The plants bring not only vibrancy, but in their representation of those who lost their lives in the voyages. Dreaming of ferns and hostas, one of the most intriguing displays in the Great Pavilion. The person had a dream, and that's what designed this. Man sleeping in a bed of ferns, lady daydreaming in a copper tub filled with hosta, blue mouse ear. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh no, more hard words. Bowtie. I walked into the pavilion and forgot every problem I've ever had except how to pronounce more hard words, because then he goes, the last one was for Shawnee Grows. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce any of these, okay? Jay says, we'll start art aspects next week, still planting. Yes, please. Okay, we did that one. Let's try this one. Cape of Good Plants, this says. Okay, it shows the contrast between the flowers in the wet season on the one side and on the other, the dry, harsh summers they have. These plants need this contrast to grow. They last a month in a vase? Impressive enough to win both the best exhibit in the Great Pavilion, you're looking at it right here, and the new design award. Wow. Okay. Now, back to the what does this all mean for your garden? Let's look at some more gardens in the Chelsea Flower Show, shall we? Would you like to join me with this? Here we go.
What does this year's Chelsea Flower Show mean for your garden? Well, I think there were 3 strong overarching themes. There was woodland, there was shade, and there was what I would call a cottage garden style planting. Trees were the star of the show, from mature trees to stumps used as ornaments. And they were partnered with shade-loving plants like ferns and mosses and hostas. And by the way, when it comes to hostas, Sienna Hostas, who are one of the main suppliers of hostas in the Grand Marquis, say that they use garlic spray to keep slugs and snails away. So I hope that's a helpful tip. Of course, show gardens.
Okay, so I want to ask you all, who shade gardens? Let me know in the chat. Here we go, Mother Earth Garden Club. I wanted to know who loves hostas. And Did you like that tip she just gave about the garlic spray? Bowtie says, okay, mature trees brought in for the 4-day show, then taken away. Yeah, they haul stuff in with cranes and trucks and all that. It's just mind-blowing. Hosta, take over. Okay, back to the lady.
Are quite small, and they used a number of tricks in order to get lots of trees into the garden, and I think those are very useful for our smaller gardens. And the two main tricks are multi-stem trees and cutting off the lower branches. Multi-stem trees, beloved of show gardens everywhere for a number of years now, actually allow more light through, and also they never grow as big as they would have done if you'd left them as a single trunk. And of course, cutting off the lower branches lets in light and space. It gives you room for planting or perhaps for furniture below. One strong and really good message that came across, I thought, was that the shady part of your garden is no longer a problem. Shade is not just valuable, it's stylish, it's beautiful, it's easier to look after, and it's a wonderful foil for the colourful parts of the garden. Gardens that featured a woodland area and then some colourful planting on the outside, like the Glasshouse Garden by Joe Thompson or Monty Don's RHS Dog Garden, really did showcase those colourful flowers beautifully because there was a shady background. In the past, I think show gardens might have had wall-to-wall colourful flowers, but these gardens have shown us how you really don't need that and how it's better to have some foliage texture in the background rather than just colour. And as for the general planting style, I would say that rewilding has been softened and made more managed and more accessible. Self-seeders, wildflowers, pioneer species, all of those were featured in a number of gardens. So what are the tips you can take away specifically for your garden? Well, logs as seating or ornaments. In the Avanade Intelligent Garden by Jay Arn and Tom Massey, it featured logs and trees and forest and urban planting in all sorts of forms. And the main message of this garden was that although we are under great pressure to plant as many trees as possible, a huge number of those trees simply don't survive because they're not looked after properly. So this garden used AI and an app for the trees to talk to the gardener and tell them what they need. The pavilion was also made with trees which had died through ash dieback and also had a mycelium in the panels. And mycelium is a fungus that helps trees share nutrients and water. We also saw the return of the decking path. In this garden, the decking path is raised slightly so that you can have some planting underneath and it doesn't compact the soil. It's the British Rainforest Garden by Zoe Claymore, and it had a lovely kind of woodland planting with mosses and ferns. Relax about your lawn. You can have long grass, short grass, a mix of the two. It's your choice, but it doesn't have to be perfect. In this garden, which is Monty Don's RHS Dog Garden, they had a lawn because Monty Don said that dogs love a lawn, and indeed children love a lawn, and an open space also is a good foil for other more elaborate planting. But all credit to them, they did not make this a perfect lawn. It's quite shabby and shaggy. It's got weeds in it, and it's got neat edges, so it does show off the rest of the garden well, but it really does say you don't need a perfect lawn. Use balls or blobs. I did a video recently on the blobbery, which I'll put in the description below. And one of the things I really noticed at this year's Chelsea Flower Show is that having rounded, quite sculptural plants really shows off a more relaxed planting. There were some lovely copper beech balls, both in Joe Thompson's Glasshouse Garden and Monty Don's RHS Dog Garden. But there were other varieties of plants clipped into balls. The one thing I didn't see, of course, was box or boxwood balls, because with box blight and box tree caterpillar, it's really not sensible to plant box in almost any part of the UK or Europe at the moment. Layer heights in your garden for a sort of secret garden effect. Usually when garden centres are promoting plants, they put out a whole load of plants, bright, colourful plants, all at the same height. But the Blue Diamond Garden Centre stand was a wonderful journey through an urban forest of different layers, foliages and textures. It just made you realise how secret and private even a very small space can be. And there was similar urban forest planting in this garden, which is made for the London Square Chelsea pensioners by Dave Green, and also in the Boodles Rain Dance Garden by Dr. Catherine MacDonald. Well, in terms of tree varieties, I think the pine has really come into its own. You could almost play a game with this video at seeing how many pines you spot in show gardens. There were big mature pines, there were ground cover pines, there were middle-sized pines. And the reason for this, I think, is that pines are evergreen. They're very resilient. They grow in a wide number of climates and soils, but they also aren't as solid as most evergreens. They have an architectural and sculptural quality, and they let more light in. So add wildflowers to your garden, or pioneer species or self-seeders. Now, pioneer species is featured here in the King's Trust Garden by Joe Perkins, are plants which will self-seed themselves and survive in really difficult, harsh and hostile situations. And they often actually are the first plants to come along to colonize an area, and then they break down and they make the soil better for future plants to come along. In terms of wildflowers, the Kent Wildflowers stand was promoting the idea of growing wildflowers to put in borders to fill gaps, or indeed, as I have here, an entire border full of wildflowers. Moss is no longer something to get rid of. Of course, the Japanese approach to moss, as seen here in the Japanese tea garden, which won Best in Show, is beautifully curated moss balls. But you could also see moss in a much more relaxed way on stones or around the water. But definitely, if you've got moss in your garden, hang on to it. And if you haven't got moss in your garden, I'm not quite sure how you create it, but keep an eye out for it. And alongside moss, you have ferns. One garden, the Pathway Garden, had 360 different species of ferns in a very small space. And the reason why ferns are so big, and I saw them in a lot of gardens, is that once again, they have architectural and sculptural qualities, and they're also great in shade. Ferns will need quite a bit of watering to get established, but once they're established, they are often very drought resilient as well. So if you are interested in making a little patch of secret woodland in your garden, then don't miss this video coming up next with Jamie Butterworth, who helped Monty Don with the RHS Dog Garden, telling us how to choose trees for small gardens. And thank you for watching.
All right. So there was one more that I don't have a picture of, but it sounded really cool. The Down Syndrome Scotland Garden by Nick Burton and Duncan Hall features colorful tiles and gentle woodland planting to celebrate inclusion. I would have to spend some time to see if I could pull it up, find it. I have lots of tabs open right now, though, so on another day. That was a fun way to see, like it showed in the green rectangle what the name of the garden was when they were going through them. I loved how she explained things. Again, if you're still here in the team replay, type Chelsea Magic in the comments if you enjoyed the recap I've provided today. Don't forget, coming soon, we are going to get into episode 2 of Gardening Through History, Ancient Civilizations, Gardens of Power and Purpose. And I think a really good thing to talk about after hearing about the Chelsea Flower Show even was the healing garden. What are things we can do in a healing garden? What are we healing from? What are the plants that would be for each different thing? And of course, Minnesota's favorite lady is a future conversation. So make sure you are subscribed to get the notification for our weekly educational gardening live streams. And we do monthly garden tours. I have over 9 gardens now, I think, if I counted right. And I think I'm going to measure them and put that in the video as well, of the size of each of one, so you can kind of gauge the space that I'm working with. Heading into the chat. We had a lot of people talking about they either wished they had shade or what they planted in their shade. You know, Jay says, I put lots of hostas, ivy, daylilies, and irises along with shrubs and bulbs in abundance in the shade. All good things. Miss Sharon wishes she had some shade. You can create shade, right? And Jay is going to mail Miss Sharon some shade. Miss Sharon's tempted to put a mimosa in the middle of the yard. Bowtie says, you're doing good. It's 10:24 p.m. and I'm still awake. I only trained for the last few days to stay up till 10 p.m. Thank you for being in the live chat tonight, Bowtie. Andrew takes care of mice. in his own way with his wife. That's great. The Chelsea Flower Show of 2025 reminded us that gardens are more than just beautiful spaces. They're places of healing, innovation, and connection. Whether it was AI-powered plant care, floral sculptures that told stories, or resilient gardens built for the future, every exhibit planted seeds of inspiration. I mean, these people took 15 months of thinking and planning, and we talked about how many days it takes to build the show, right? I hope this recap leaves you blooming with ideas for your own space, no matter how big or small. Keep exploring, keep growing, and remember to grow every day in every way. And I will see you in the next one. It was great having everybody here. This is the end.